Hey, welcome to another edition of the Gentleman Grachowski Show. I'm him, Larry, the host with the most, and Grachowski is what I do. Something like that. TVHams.com is the official website of the Gentleman Grachowski Show. Everything about the show you can find out there at TVHams.com. I put social media. I got Facebook, and I also do the Facebook stories usually daily. Put some pictures up and stuff like that. And one thing that I'm confused about. Maybe someone out there can help me out with this. I keep getting this. Message. It says so and so tap the fire. Someone is tapping the fire sticker. Tapping the fire sticker. I don't know what that means. What is tapping the fire? What is the fire? Did I put something up there? Maybe I shouldn't have put it up there. I just put up the fire, and the only reason I put that fire up there was to cover up that brown spot on the bottom. I don't know. I don't like how Facebook you have it where there's there's the up on top of the picture and below the picture there's just emptiness. So I put that fire there just to kind of give a little, put something down there because the picture was kind of small, and everybody's tapping my fire. What does that mean? What does it mean when someone's tapping my fire? I don't know. You guys can go to TV Hams. Let me know there, or you can leave a voice, not a voicemail, but you can leave a email for me, or you can go to my Facebook page and let me know, what does tapping my fire mean? Is it a good thing? Is it bad? I hope it's a good thing. I hope I'm not doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. I hope I'm not getting caught for something. I always told you that don't play with fire. I played with fire, and I hope it's not coming back to burn me. You know what I'm saying? But TVHams.com is a way you can find out. Let me know what tapping the fire means. We're going to have a great show tonight. We're going to have Robert Townsend, and we're going to have Bob Crawford. Now, Robert Townsend is a scientist. He's also a doctor. He's got 2 YouTube channels, Bob the Science Guy and Common Sense Science. And my first guest is Robert Crawford. He's the president of RMCO Music out of New York. And he's been in the music industry for over 35 years. He's done everything. He's doing some cool things with his music. Bob, how are you, Bob? Welcome to the broadcast.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good there. You're the president, the owner of RMCO Music. And you want to talk to us today about music licensing.
Correct.
Well, 30 years of music. I'm sure you've seen it really change from the moments that you started off and when you were a kid trying to get into music, and the way it is now with technology being basically you can make music maybe on your cell phone. Can you tell us about music licensing?
Okay. You want me to give you the history of why I decided to do licensing? Because it's a long history. I started out as a performer, and then I had bands, things like that. Then I was a songwriter, just trying to get songs placed to other artists like Aretha and Shaka Khan. And then when all of this technology stuff happened, plus this pandemic, a lot of the things that I used to do, people cannot make money doing that anymore. But licensing is something you can always do because there's always films, TV, and ads, things like that. People looking to put music to their projects. So fortunately, I have a particular niche to fall back on and make a living.
And another thing is websites, video games, and ringtones. I think the ringtones is kind of intriguing to me, that every time somebody calls you, you're going to, and they use your ringtone, you're going to get a royalty, right?
Yeah, basically. But you can't retire on a ringtone, bro.
That'd be nice. You just give your number out to everybody, right?
Yeah, there you go. See, I start making calls.
If that was me, I would give my number to all the telemarketers out there. Yeah, call this number. They want you. They're interested. Yeah. They're interested. Just so they call.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Now, with your music, you've been doing it for years. You have different styles of music. Can you describe your style of music?
Well, basically, it's pop, R&B, singer-songwriter, and crossover jazz with some dance tunes in there. And I have a large catalog, about 120 songs. And I've worked with tremendous vocalists. And I also have done a lot of the singing for the pop male versions of songs. And those have been getting placed as well. The licensing thing I've only been doing for the last few years, and that just really started to take off.
And can you tell us about underscoring and having transition and TV shows?
All right. When you're watching a program and it goes from one scene to another, if there's music that goes with changing scenes, then that music can get a royalty.
Amazing, isn't
That's
that?
the
Now,
transition part.
when you do that, do you specifically write something for like a certain scene, or is it just stuff that you already have? You just have different variety of styles that you had the music.
Well, basically, I don't place the music. The people that work with me place the music. So there are a lot of people that write for cues and things like that. I don't do it that way. I write complete music and always have. And the people that are representing me understand the music supervisors, the people that make those decisions and take pieces of it and use it either in the underscoring or the transition music or the credits in the beginning or at the end of a film or TV. And that's how it works. So I have non-exclusive contracts also, which basically means that I'm not locked into any one group in any one organization, and they can place my music in several places by different people at different times.
And what about commercial advertising? Is that different from what you're doing?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, if there's a Pepsi ad and they, want a funk tune, I have a bunch of funk tunes that may go along if they're drinking Pepsi at a dance or at a party or something like that. That's how that music is used.
Cool. This is the Gentleman Grachowski Show. We're sitting here with Bob Crawford. We'll be back with more Bob after this. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Grachowski Show. My guest here is Robert Crawford. Robert has been in the music business for over 30 years. He's got a book. He's got 2 albums, and he's done a lot of work behind the scenes. He's composed a lot of music. He's played guitar. He's done everything in the music business. What are one of the things, Bob, that you're really most fond of with your career you've done? Is there anything particular aspect you really liked?
Well, writing the book, it's called Symmetric Cycles. It's a music theory book that picks up where John Coltrane, the famous jazz saxophonist and composer, where that left off. And it combines music and math, which is dividing musical octaves and into equal parts and creating what are called authentic cadences, which show key changes that make sounds like you never heard before. And it's being distributed by Jamie Aebersold, Jazz Books, a very famous bunch of people. And I wrote it in 1982, and it got finally published in 2011. So patience is a virtue.
Exactly. It's worth doing. It's well worth waiting for it, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, right. But thank God I wasn't hanging my hat just on that. I would have had a beard down to my knees by then.
I can imagine. Now you formed RMCO Music back in 1990. Can you tell us about what you do there at RMCO Music?
Well, that was basically when I decided to stop touring as a musician and try to place my original material, mostly pop and R&B, with established artists. I got a cover from Larry Harlow he recorded a song called My Time Is Now that I wrote with Dennis Williams of the OJs, and he did it in English and in Spanish. And that was in 2000. That was in 1990, actually. And then Maxine Brown in the R&B Hall of Fame covered a song of mine called I Want to Be Loved on Max Records. And she toured behind that. And a lot of stuff changed because as people were able to open up home studios, there was a lot of legal stuff going on. So people would claim songs that aren't theirs, etc. And there were a lot of lawsuits. So they stopped getting unsolicited material. The only way I was able to get stuff done is through referrals. But a lot of, how unseemly the music business is and how unstable it is. So I just got sick and tired of, a roller coaster life and got into the music licensing business because I could use all of the catalog that I have and just had to find people believing in it enough that they would represent me for a fee for 50% of the placements, which works out fine for me because I'd rather just do the content and let these folks use all their contacts in order to get things done. And then once you get one, you get another, another. Music supervisor A knows B, knows C. It's a real networking thing. And that's basically how it's been going. And I'm happy.
And your company, RMCO Music, you produced two instrumental jazz crossover albums, Volume 1 and 2. Can you tell us about that?
Right. Well, those are my bands. That was my band. And the music was written in the 70s and the 80s. And once the technology caught up with stuff, or I caught up with the technology one way or the other. I decided to make compilation albums of the first album done in 1978 and 79, had 6 tunes, and the last the other one, which was in the 80s, had 16 tunes to it. So I called the first one Volume 1, second one Volume 2, which I released in 2013. And those instrumental cues can go a long way to be used in those transitions you were talking about, and in the underscoring, underneath like love songs, fight songs, whatever, because some of them are really funky and some of them are really melodic and smooth, and they can be used on a soap, it can be used on a romantic film, it can be used in a race car thing, whatever, and that is pretty much what the people working for me are doing. And they're all just terrific people, man. Nice people. There's no ego in it whatsoever because we're all on the same team.
All right, Bob Crawford, thank you for stopping by the show tonight. If you want to find out some more information about Bob, you can always go to his website, larosta.com, Bob-Crawford. Again, that's carosta.com, Carosta. It sounds great. I love it. Carosta.com/Bob Crawford. We'll be back with more of the Gentleman Grachowski Show after this. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Grachowski Show. My next guest is a physician, a pilot, a critical thinker, a YouTube creator, and more. He's also an astronomer. Let's welcome Dr. Robert Townsend. He's also got a YouTube channel, Bob the Science Guy, and Common Sense Science. One of the things that you've been getting involved in lately is the flat Earth theory. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, the flat Earth theory is kind of an outgrowth of what did they call it? Scientific creationism, which is a biblical-based idea that we're the center of the universe. Everything in the world and the universe revolves around us. The Earth is flat, And the book of Genesis basically tells you exactly everything that you need to know about how the earth was formed and how it's actually set up. And it's had kind of a revival since about 2014 or so. And it used to be quite popular on YouTube, not as much so now, but it was really quite popular on YouTube a year or two ago, and it's still kind of going strong.
And what is the main story behind it?
Well, the earth is flat because it looks flat to us. Gravity is just a theory. It doesn't exist. And if you want to know how the world is put together, you just look at Genesis. Space is fake. We never went to the moon. There are no satellites in the sky. And water always finds its level. That's their mantra. Water always finds its level, and it looks flat to me, so therefore it is flat. They use something called zetetic astronomy, which basically refers to a way of approaching science that if you don't personally experience it yourself, it can't be true. So, for example, even though we have very good documentation that people have been in space, and they are in fact up there right now, unless you've personally gone there and witnessed that yourself, you can't tell me that somebody's actually in the International Space Station or that there's an International Space Station at all.
Okay. And that's just a way of thinking, right? It's just a way that people put together that's their logic behind it, right? But I mean, you can look up at the
That's
sky.
the entire basis of their logic, yes.
So, I see the moon. I don't have to be on it to know that it's there. I could take a look at it. That's good enough for me. Why would people,
How do you know it's not just a light in the sky?
Well, even
Can
if
you
it was,
present me with any evidence that you personally obtained that says it's not just a light in the sky?
Okay. Well, what if it was just a light in the sky? What is that really going to change my daily life? Probably nothing, right?
No, but then you can't tell me that there's not a dome over the earth and all the stars are not just objects in the dome.
Okay.
You see, it's an absolute rebellion against all scientific thought and reasoning and all the scientific discoveries that we've made in the last 3,000 years, because it doesn't fit their narrative of the way the universe should work. And the way the universe should work is that they are the center of the universe. Everything that we see exists simply because we want it there. And that's the way God wanted it. And they have an entire community on YouTube that promotes this kind of thinking. And one of my little things that I do is I point out the errors in this. And I'm part of a group of probably 50 people on YouTube that debunk these things. I really like to promote critical thinking, and I like to have people actually use good reasoning and demonstrate good reasoning when they make these YouTube videos, because this is how we learn critical thinking skills. You have to actually learn a little bit about critical thinking, and then you have to learn to put it into use. And that's one of the things that I like to do on my YouTube channel, Bob the Science Guy.
Cool. And you said you personally measured the Earth, right? You measured it. You know that for a fact that it is round?
Yeah.
Well, that's good enough for me,
as a matter of fact,
right?
I do. What?
It's good enough for me. If you measured it and you say it's round, I'm down with it. I don't have to. You don't got to prove me. Show me anymore.
Well, it's kind of interesting. What we did was we repeated the Eratosthenes experiment, where he measured the angle of a shadow. I did it here in Michigan at the 45th parallel. My friend Blue Marble Science did it down in Tennessee, 500 miles due south of me. And what we did was we tried to triangulate the distance to the sun from that. And then we both independently calculated the circumference and the size of the Earth and came within about 110 miles. He used a rod that was about 72 inches long. I used basically a roofer's square that was about 7 inches long. And we still managed to find the circumference of the Earth within about 100 kilometers.
All right. Well, it's good enough for me. I'll buy it. The Earth is round. Works for me.
Well, the important thing is that you can go determine that yourself. The math isn't all that difficult.
Okay.
And this is an experiment that you literally could do on the back of your pickup truck, as I did between patients one day at my office.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you took care of it and saved some work for me. That sounds like too much for me going on there. But we're sitting here with Robert Townsend. He's a critical thinker and more, and we'll be back with more of that, of some of critical thinking from Robert Townsend after this. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Grachowski Show. TVHams.com is the official website of the Gentleman Grachowski Show. Everything about the show, go to TVHams.com. We got Robert Townsend right here. He is a Bob the Science Guy on YouTube, and Common Sense Science is also another show he puts together. He likes to look at things and basically debunk things or support things. And one of the things that Bob is talking about now is these masks. Everyone is wearing these masks these days, right, Bob? All these masks going on here.
Oh, yeah.
And some people say the mask
Except,
works.
of course, the people that aren't.
I'm sorry, there are people that aren't. I wish I wasn't. We'll just say that. But you personally say that the masks do help, and they do. Can you tell us about your critical thinking behind that?
Well, one of the things that we wear a mask for is to prevent other people from catching stuff from us. The masks are not designed primarily to protect us. They're designed to protect the people around us. And if they're wearing masks, we get our protection from that. The purpose of the mask is to contain anything infectious that we're coughing or sneezing out. And they work very, very well for that. We unfortunately are running into a situation right now where politics seems to dictate whether or not you follow public health directives. And I think that that's a bad idea. Public health directives are put in place based on good data for our own protection. So, for example, with public health directives, Kentucky Fried Chicken has to have a certain internal temperature on their chicken. That's not an assault against their freedom. That's designed to prevent the growth of bacteria. And I don't understand why people are trying to view the use of a mask as an affront somehow to their freedom. It's not. It's a public health directive. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to look at some of the arguments against the masks, specifically that the masks don't prevent the spread of the virus. And what we did was I happened to find a little clip on YouTube where somebody actually tested the mask with a spray of ether. And I think that's a very good demonstration on how effective these masks truly are against coughs and sneezes. The other thing that we did was we had a look at the arguments about oxygen and carbon dioxide building up when you wear a mask, and found that that really doesn't hold any water either. So the arguments against the mask are that it's inconvenient. Perhaps you have some anxiety and you don't like to have something on your face. But the arguments for the mask, going all the way back to the Spanish influenza in 1918, are really conclusive that this helps prevent the spread of disease. And since we don't have a vaccine for COVID right now, this is really the best thing that we can do, this and social distancing, to protect society and get back to work. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to point this stuff out so people can make good, informed decisions rather than listening to something they hear on Fox News or on Facebook. So that's where I stand on that.
All right. And you're the scientist, so you know what's going on, right?
Well, it's not just a scientist. I'm an actual physician. I've studied this stuff formally. For example, one of the arguments that you'll hear a lot of people make is that masks cause the buildup of carbon dioxide. That's not true. In your respiratory system, you have what's called anatomical dead space. That's the air in your trachea, in your mouth, in your throat, in your nose. This is air that's not exchanged for oxygen and carbon dioxide. It's literally dead space, and it accounts for about 250 milliliters of air. The air that's trapped behind a mask accounts for maybe 25 milliliters, 10%. So you're not going to have any significant difference between the air that's in the mask and the air that's in your mouth. It's just the same one way or the other. And as far as building up carbon dioxide in your system, we actually tested that. It doesn't happen. The reason it doesn't happen is as carbon dioxide goes up in your blood, your brain makes you breathe a little bit faster to blow it off, and it equalizes out. The body's very good at maintaining a level degree of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the blood. So these are just arguments that are being put out because they heard it somewhere on YouTube, and they repeat it without checking it. We checked it. It doesn't happen.
A tragedy happened to your workplace this week. Can you tell us a little about a GoFundMe page you guys got set up for Brittany?
Well, my practice manager, Trish, had one child, a daughter by the name of Brittany, and she went out on her 22nd birthday on Wednesday night and unfortunately was killed in an automobile accident. She was a passenger in a vehicle and was the only fatality. She leaves behind two small toddlers. The oldest child is 3, the youngest is 5 months, and she was a single mom. So my practice manager has set up a GoFundMe page to help pay her funeral expenses and help pay some of the expenses of the boys. And if any of your readers or listeners would feel so inclined, I'd really appreciate it if they'd show her a little bit of support. This is, like I said, her only child. And it's just an overwhelming tragedy right now. And we're all kind of beside ourselves with it.
And that's Brittany Poirier, right? That's correct?
Brittany Poirier, yes.
Yeah. GoFundMe at
And
Brittany
it was her
Poirier.
22nd birthday.
Yes, tragedy.
The sad thing is that she wasn't even driving the vehicle. She just got in the vehicle with the wrong person, and they had a one-car accident, and she did not survive.
Oh, our prayers and go out to the family and yourself too. It's very tragic. But Robert, thank you for stopping by the show
I'll pass
today.
it on to Trish.
All right, thanks, Robert Townsend, Bob the Science Guy, and Common Sense Science are the YouTube channels. And then you can find out more information. Go to GoFundMe Brittany Poirier, BrittanYPoirier. Definitely help them out. Thanks for stopping by the Gentleman Grachowski Show. I'd like to thank Robert again for stopping by, and Bob Crawford. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.